Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just letting everybody into the Zoom room here. Just want to make sure, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So, still letting people in. I'm going to put my headphones in now. Um, yeah, before we get started, anybody have any wins? Any good stuff going on for you guys out there in the REO space? Any shares? We have a special guest today. We'll introduce in just a second. I see he's on the call. So that's good. Keep letting people in. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you guys have anything you want to share up or offer up as far as a win as we get started here, I'll just make some announcements and get the call rolling off here. My name is Eric Bengal. I work with American Destiny Real Estate. I help out with communications, setting up these mastermind calls, writing the monthly newsletter, keeping everybody abreast as to what's going on with our company at American Destiny. And we've also been helping out a lot with the REO Alliance group, of which American Destiny is one of the founding members of. We can talk about that later in the call. But it's been busy in some respects. So you're bringing on some new opportunities for everybody, and that's the goal of everything that we do. This call is going to feature a very special guest who we've had on a couple different times before, Jim Steffens, who we'll introduce in just a minute. The goal of the call is always to add value to our agents and to keep you guys abreast as to anything that might be happening in ADR that you should know about. If it's super vitally important, we'll definitely get an email out to everybody, way before a call like this. When we're having these calls, this is where we can ask questions and get a little bit more perspective on what's happening out there in the REO space that we all work in or want to be working in. We have Darren Control on the call, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Darren. You guys all probably know who Darren is, but I'll let him do a formal introduction and kick off the call here.
Eric, hey, thanks. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks, Jim, for being a part of this monthly piece we do. We really try to add value and hopefully tap into um, some key points of what's going on in the marketplace and what's going on internally, but also answer any questions you guys might have at that point, which it's a very open dialogue. Those of you who have not been there on these calls and you're joining us for the first time, but we're looking forward to it. I'm the CEO of American Destiny Real Estate Services. Uh, we focus with Eric, who's our director of communication, to do as much as we can to add value, to keep pumping opportunities, and really just try to be as transparent as possible. So I'm a real estate broker by trade. For those of you who don't know, have been licensed since '91. I've walked the walk and I just don't talk the talk. So we really try to be fair in how we deal with the agents on a daily basis. So hopefully you see that when you interact with our asset managers. We kind of preach that every day about offering value out to our agents, but also being fair. And we hopefully do that day in and day out. So with that, Eric, I'll pause.
Okay, cool. And so we have Jim Steffens on. I'm going to let Jim do his own introduction because he probably can do it better than I can. So Jim, welcome to the call today, and we'll turn the floor over to you for introductions.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Thanks, Darren. Thanks for inviting me back. Um, I'm Jim Steffen. I am president of Peak Harbor Asset Management and based in Plano, Texas. I am in Salt Lake City, and along with me is Ashley Rose she is VP of National Sales at Timios, our national title agency. We are like I said, I have many hats kind of here at Peak Harbor and Timios, but so I'm president of Peak Harbor Asset Management. We also have a national valuation company, a full asset appraisal management company, as well as BPOs, hybrid valuations, that kind of thing. And then we have our national title agency that's based out of Westlake Village, California, with offices in Plano, Texas, Salt Lake City, and Pittsburgh. We on the Peak Harbor side, that I wanted to kind of mention, what we are seeing out there. I think Darren kind of already mentioned, and Eric mentioned the growth opportunities. This year has kind of been a little roller coaster in terms of inventory, and like the last couple months we've kind of been in a trough, but we do have 3, 4 big initiatives that hopefully will come to fruition within the next 30, 60 days. And we'll be able to speak to those kind of more in the next month or so. But so we are starting to see things kind of pick up from various levels. We do work we work closely with ADR on some clients, and like them, we are in the REO space with banks, non-bank servicers, credit unions, as well as in the SFR space. I'd say from market conditions, kind of what we are seeing right now as I mentioned, kind of the trough in the new assignments in the last few months. We have seen kind of what you're seeing overall, and this is where I'd be curious to really open it up for comments and discussions too, because it seems that some pockets have really increased in the past like 60, 90 days, and then others we were strong in the past 6 months. We haven't received anything, but kind of as a real estate from a high level right now, we're seeing kind of year-over-year inventory is out there. I think the statistics nationally is year-over-year inventory is like 22% up. And we're seeing the kind of, but again, it's really seems to be fragmented. And we're seeing offers have slowed, obviously, because of interest rates. We are very sensitive to interest rates on the title side. Being our biggest business on the title side is still our origination refi side. So obviously we're very sensitive to that. But yeah, overall, it's been kind of a mixed bag. And so we have been much like Darren's group on ADR, we've been looking at some new initiatives that I think can be big opportunities for our broker network, and as well as probably second or third, fourth quarters when most of these will be coming up. Our broker, just for everybody, that we are on, like a lot of outsourcers, we are on several different platforms. We are on bidonhomes.com is one of our platforms. Accelerus is one of our platforms. And then there's 3 new clients. I wish we were all on one platform. It would make it a lot easier for all of us, right? But we have 3 new clients coming on board that'll be on 2 of the other major REO platforms out there too. So I know it's tough from a subscription standpoint when the volume isn't what it is or what it has been in years past, but for now, that's kind of where we're in the immediate future, what's going on with us.
Jim, I had a question regarding that. We're with Bid on Homes, and we have like a carve out section of Bid on Homes, so an agent can go to Bid on Homes, they can do their profile. We won't see them until we invite them over to our section. Is it the same with you with Peak Harbor? Do they have to be invited to like the Peak Harbor section of Bid on Homes or the other platforms that you mentioned? And with those other platforms, are they subscription based? Like I know every platform has their free version. And we don't need our agents to be on the paid version of Bid on Homes. But can you explain a little bit more like the other platforms, what the agents would need as far as they're keeping their portal up to date to what they would need as far as a subscription, if any.
Yeah, to answer the first question on the bid on homes, I believe we see it. I can confirm with Bryce Zern, who is our SVP on the asset management side, but I believe we see it. And if not, I'll send an email out and early next week just to correct that if that is the case. On like the Accelerus side and the other platforms, my recommendation always is to get the minimum levels of subscription that allows you to be seen, because there are some platforms I know that it's free to get in, but some of them at that free level, you're not we go to assign agents, the zip codes or the coverage isn't there. So I would recommend in all of them just to put in what unless you have multiple opportunities with other groups, I would start by just doing the minimum level subscription.
Let me
Yeah,
jump in
and
too, and I'll trumpet that. Absolutely. Just, I mean, no reason to spend more money than you have to. And I believe when we onboard somebody, Peak Harbor, you guys can see them in bid on
Yeah.
homes. I'm pretty sure. So, because I know we first got kicked off, we were using a lot of the same folks, and it's all based on the fact that it was in the database. So I'm pretty sure so just get into bid on homes again. Accelerus, everybody has a free, and again, if it gets you on the ability to be seen by us for asset disposition, then that's the key. If it doesn't, then you're gonna maybe have to kick in some money for that, like ResNet, for instance, or some of those platforms.
just to add to that, like ResNet, Equator, Pyramid, they're all, once you're on, every other entity that's utilizing that from an asset management side can see the brokers that have signed up. And it's you can see kind of and then each agent can kind of or each entity that's using it can see the agent, there's kind of scorecards on each platform, and we can't see kind of like, let's say like SPS, which is here in Salt Lake, right? They're also on Accelerus. I can see on our side when we select an agent who, the preferred status or DNU status, but I can't see what other entity or what, all you see is kind of a generic high level scorecard, and you can see kind of timelines and generic scorecards. But that's or performance metrics, I should say. And we look at those at a high level, but we also know that, especially given that most markets haven't had the inventory, just from a statistical standpoint, most areas haven't had the statistical inventory to put much credence in a lot of that right now. But it is, it's something we do glance at.
Jim, another question I had, and this comes up a lot with agents that I speak with. We kind of have a feel for like our hot areas, our Dallases or our Houstons or or Atlantas. Are you seeing with your clients particular zones or areas that are hot right now, or areas that maybe are cooling off, or areas that maybe you are forecasting to get a little bit more inventory?
I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of inventory. You mentioned like the Dallases, this Floridas, everywhere. The biggest, one of the biggest drivers that I think everybody's trying to solve for right now in the housing market is the insurance side of things. And what do you do, right? Because there's a house, let's say interest rates drop even, and you're a first time home buyer. What's happening is there's just sticker shock when you go to buy insurance. And sometimes it's beyond sticker shock. There's limited players in the market. People are pulling out, and there's a lot more deals. I think like the last 2 months have been the highest contract fallout in 5 to 10 years. And I think a lot of that is due to insurance conditions, like like someone was just saying, especially in Florida with the roof, and that's what's going to be a huge impact. It has a huge impact on REO, and it's specifically your traditional like government REO, where we're talking like HUD HECM or any HUD products, USDA, or anything that typically where it was appraisal based, but they would typically sell as is. Sometimes, a lot of times that's not going to be an option for given those areas where they're end users or first time home buyers. If they can't get, the roofs are becoming such a huge issue. I know that um, just because the roof issues alone in Florida are a huge challenge right now.
Another question it comes up a lot with the agents is pricing. Like the agents will bring a price to the client, and the client and the agent aren't always seeing eye to eye. How are you dealing with that? And what's your recommendation? And we have about 40 agents on the call right now. What's your recommendation to those agents as to how they can best make an appeal for a price that's going to get some eyeballs and maybe some open houses and stuff like that?
Some things never change with clients, I will say. And I think the biggest thing is telling the complete story up front. And sometimes that requires an extra narrative. And if especially if it's non-conforming or they're, extenuating condition issues, we need to know. And there's times though that on the asset management side, we'll go out and get, even a third opinion. But we just know with some clients, it's going to be priced a certain amount, and we try to reconcile that. And we take the values depending on the client. Some it's a BPO, some it's appraisal, some it's three BPOs, sometimes it's AVMs. And anyway, our job is to reconcile all those comps and all that information that the brokers provide. And that being said, sometimes we get that price right internally, but then there's it goes back to the client for approval, and the client based on who that client is might have, they might have a different pricing model, at least to start. And that's why I would say continue, especially if the pricing is wrong out of the gate. That's where that first month, monthly status report becomes huge, and the communication there, because we have clients that no matter what we recommend, we, sometimes the target gets missed on the client level. And you got to understand from an investor side, there are investors out there that obviously they don't want to leave money on the table, but there's some that just can't recognize certain portfolio losses at the same time too. And so there's a lot of things kind of behind the scenes with each client. That's why I would recommend that if it does get missed out of the gate, I would say do that monthly status report after 2 weeks if you can, and just say, hey, this is the feedback after the first 14 days. Because we know there's been a lot of times where we push back to the client after 14 days and say, hey, we haven't had a single offer. Here are the showings. This is what we originally recommended, just to try to push that along.
So, as a follow-up, I mean, at least for Peak Harbor, would you recommend agents to be more proactive than maybe they would normally be, if they feel like that they're not getting the action on the property?
Absolutely. It's funny, I have a question here for the group, but part of this is, and it's, kind of going back to my asset management background, is it's all about communication. And I know that's probably a frustration for a lot of agents out there with different companies, hopefully not ours, hopefully not ADR either, but it's the communication piece and being proactive. And when there is an issue, um, and look, we all get busy too, and sometimes we don't get heard, but if there is an issue that it's affecting value, that's going to affect the ability to do your job and get this, get these properties listed and sold, we want to hear about it up front, because at the end of the line, it all comes back to us. And sometimes I know we have clients right now where they're like portfolio bank loans, and there's a committee, and they only meet like once a month to review things. That's really hard for us to like, hey, I got an offer, and they're not going to wait 28 days. So how do we figure this out, kind of thing? So it's that. So every information that we can be fed is good. So I do think we never look at it as it's like nagging or anything like that. We all have jobs to do, and the more information that you guys can provide and vice versa, the the better the relationship.
Let me jump in and add to that, because we had a situation this week that, an agent that we do a lot of business with elevated it to you, Eric, sent you an email and then said, hey, this is not making sense. And then we elevated that, and within 24 hours, we pretty much got it worked out. So every deal is important to us. We know what's going on in some of these marketplaces. There's a bunch of pivots in some of the bigger MSAs, but if there's something that doesn't make sense, and to Jim's point, and again, I know we talk about this a lot, you got to tell the story and you got to spell it out so it's like a second grader could read it and understand it. You just got to really put it out there in a way that's very easy to chunk through and read through. And I know it's a lot of data points and a lot of detail, but when you tell the story about whatever's going on, and we can transfer that to our asset manager, who then transfers it to the client, typically we can get it resolved. When it makes sense, it makes sense. So we just got to usually get to the right people and explain it. So anyway, I'm just gonna say that you can elevate it, right, Eric? I mean, you could talk a little bit about that, because that was very helpful how that worked out.
Yeah, I guess that leads me to like another follow-up with, at least with Peak Harbor, and because I know a lot of agents tell me that they get assets through Peak Harbor. And where would that elevation be? Would it be with the asset manager? Would it be with a director of operations? Do you have a communications director? How does that look like? And are the agents do they know who that chain of elevation is?
Yeah, they should. Obviously, like Bryce Zern he's our SVP on asset management side. He would be an escalation point. My lines are always open as well. And the bottom line is just getting that message across when those things get escalated, so they can be resolved quickly.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. There was a couple other questions I have, but I wanted to just see if, Darren, if you wanted to jump in with any thoughts. And I know we have a couple of our brokers, like White's on the call. I saw Jeff Russell's on the call. I know that they run some mastermind calls too. So if you guys want to just maybe put together any other questions you might have for
Well, they're
Jim
plugged
or
together. I
anyone.
wanted to give Ashley a chance to say hi,
Oh
and
yeah,
and
absolutely.
say,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't sure
let's let
what a
her
good time
introduce
was for that.
herself and tell us more
Okay.
about Timios. But just as a sidebar, one of the things we've been doing a lot with Jim for a long time, and it's funny, we compete against each other with clients, but honestly, we're partners. And that's how ADR typically in Peak Harbor, for their benefit as well, really look to work together to solve problems. Because just like he's in some conversations, we're in some conversations, and I just came up this morning. I didn't tell him this yet, but we're just in a conversation where a pretty large servicer is like, we need to hire 2 vendors. I'm like, well, we have the package deal. So we already have it locked and loaded. We're already working with these guys. It works really, really well. Everything's already built out. And honestly, it's just a great relationship. But with that, we do a lot of stuff with Timios, who does a lot of our closings and title for us across the country. They do a fantastic job for us. But with that, I'll pivot and let Ashley run with it.
Yeah, thanks,
Go
Darren.
introduce yourself. Yeah.
My name's Ashley. I'm out of Salt Lake City with Jim. I've been with Timios. Just had my 4-year work anniversary over the weekend, last weekend. So I've been around. Thank you. We are licensed in 47 states. everything except for Alaska, Hawaii, and South Dakota. So we're around. We are doing, like Darren was saying, everybody kind of is working together, especially Timios and Peak Harbor being owned by the same company. We work very closely together. We're doing what's called a broker referral program right now. So like Jim said, we're looking to see things kind of start picking up a little bit more in the second half of this year. And as we do that, we always say we want to be partners with people rather than vendors on the Timios side. So that's kind of what we're looking for in our broker referral program as well. Looking to partner with the brokers that we work with for these listings and the asset disposition process. Basically just trying to create more of a back and forth relationship, see how we can get you guys more business, how you guys can get us more business, and just make it kind of work for everybody. Rising tide lifts all ships. So that is pretty much what we're looking to do on the title and Peak Harbor side.
I don't know what questions to ask Ashley, so I'm going to defer to Jim and Darren because title's not my thing.
No
I
problem.
don't know what to ask Ashley either. So
He
that's
knows it
good.
all. I mean, there's 47 states. I mean, to me, it's
Yeah.
like, and you guys have, this is a little pet peeve for me. So I apologize in advance. Because we have other folks we work with. They're like, we're licensed in 36 states, but we have relationships in the other whatever. So we have all 50 states. It's like, so you can do work in all 50 states, I would think, because you do have
Right.
relationships in those other 3 states, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good. Is it a legal thing why you have to say 47 states, or you just they beat that into you, the attorneys?
Well,
No,
so-
go ahead, Jim.
No, you go.
I was gonna say it's just an honest answer. We could say 50 states, but
Okay.
no,
Okay.
we
Well, you're
have
licensed in
partner
47, but
relationships.
you do business in 50. That's
Correct. Yes.
right. Okay, good. Okay.
Semantics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like on the default side, so we do a lot of REO title closing for entities where we're not doing the asset management. And in those cases, from a default perspective, you have to have a national solution. We also do the closings in Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands and in those cases. That being said, for a retail standpoint, we definitely don't want to advertise those because we aren't licensed. It is a work share. And so we
Yeah.
can't control, we're at the mercy of other factors in those states. But one of the things I did also want to mention is another initiative we're working on. We have a national appraisal management company. One of the things we have never really pushed our BPOs at all, because really, why would we? Up until we do them for a lot of our own investors, for the smaller investor clients and things like that. That's about to change. And what we want to do is we want to send out, so you might be seeing invites because we want it to go out to our broker network that we're using, because we think that first off, if there's an opportunity to get any of those listings, we want it to make sure that, that goes up front. So there's that skin in the game from the beginning. But anyways, that's something we're trying to push. We have this pretty big loss mit initiative that's going to be that we're working on through Q4, and that's why we're really trying to build up our BPO agent network. And I would say I realize that some brokerages do BPOs, others it's not worth it. I understand that too. I will say one nice thing, and I always tell brokers that can do it or have a team that can do it, is in certain situations, it's good to follow. It's an opportunity to kind of follow the money, right? Follow where, and it depends on what the nature of that BPO or that request is. But a lot of times it is, the BPOs are done for either portfolio due diligence. We do have a capital markets group that I didn't fail to mention. But so we also do a lot of due diligence for portfolios. And it is a way for, especially on defaulted or REO portfolios, to kind of see what's being transferred where. And of course, in those situations, again, if it's an REO that we control, then absolutely that we will be utilizing that listing. Again, we want to be partners, not vendors. And then in other cases, we want to help out wherever we can. So I just want to throw that out there.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to add to that. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, which was a huge asset for us, we introduced actually the Timios group to one of our clients a couple years ago. That is a fix and flip group, and they actually dove into their paperwork and found a couple of challenges that they weren't even aware of. Pretty much had arguments with the client's legal department. And then finally, Timios won the day as towards we're right, you're wrong, we're trying to protect you. So I put that out there just because, I mean, they're not only just doing closing, and for us as agents, we just want to get it closed. Stick a fork in it, let's move on, let's get paid. But there's definitely a competency piece to it, especially when you get into some nuances and some of the more complicated transactions that you need to have that kind of layer of expertise. And, you know, I give them lots of credit on that because honestly, they went toe to toe with their legal department and finally got them to see the light, which then changed their operating agreement, which was a pretty massive change if you know how operating agreements work. So kudos to Ashley and your team on that. I mean, that was, like I said, a couple of years ago. And that's, of course, one of the reasons why I talk about them and know why we work with them, because they do a fantastic job. And again, they're very, very competent.
Appreciate that. Yeah, our team is lights out on the outside. Okay, it looks like we got a question here.
Yeah, I wanted to bring Larry works a lot with us, with our brokerage partners on mentoring agents. And yeah, go ahead, Larry, if you had a question.
Yeah, this was actually more just guided towards Ashley at this point in time. So, I've done a lot on the business development side, similar to Darren, and, we've competed a lot in the past, and Jim and stuff like that as well. I met with the largest attorney in the country that just handles private money. So that's his whole niche, is the private money side of things, only investor type loans. And the question or the problem that he's having is everybody says that they have an title company. But when he starts to reach out to these companies, it starts getting piecemealed. And so he no longer has one point of contact, right? He has one point of contact for these 5 states and one for this. He is looking for, now, I know you're missing 3 or 4 states, but this would be a much bigger deal. Like, would it be an opportunity? Like, could you have one point of contact for him to be able, like, he wants somebody else to manage it. He can piecemeal this thing together, but
Right.
that is what he's looking for. And if that's something that between you and Jim, you guys think that is in your wheelhouse, I would love to kind of set up that connection, because the private money side of things is starting to run into a lot of roadblocks. They do all of the foreclosure work and stuff on these. And so, I'm helping him put together a referral database for the agent network and stuff on his side. And this is kind of the missing piece to kind of bring this package together. Is that in your guys' wheelhouse?
It is, yeah. That's something that we actually really kind of emphasize in our operations, and our communication is, like, we call it one throat to choke. You don't have to chase down, 20 different people through 30 different states. You're going to talk to Christina is going to be the closer. Shar is going to be the processor. They work together in tandem. And then I'm, the salesperson. If something needs to be on a Saturday morning at, 10 a.m., I'll answer the phone. That's my gig. So between the 3 of us, it's not necessarily one person, but it is one team.
Beautiful. Well, Eric or Darren, like, if maybe one of you guys could just put an email introducing us, and I'll kind of open up those opportunities there. So I appreciate you guys being on and continuing to add value as this market's continuing to shift here.
Yeah, I'll do that for you, Larry. Another question I was thinking of is you brought up about BPO work, Jim. What other tasks would agents get from you guys? Would they do any cash for keys? Would they do any type of just inspection work, property pres, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we are doing, inspections, yes, that's something we completely outsource though right now. For the most part, unless it's an asset under management. But yeah, I mean, that is another thing that we are getting asked to do. And it's kind of, that's where kind of Darren and I also kind of work together on, because there are certain things that they can do better than, it's just kind of like utilizing everything where they're already set up. Why recreate the wheel on certain things? So there are opportunities like that where we work closely together. And I kind of going back to the title piece though, real quick. In fact, an example of like where we worked close together. I know that one of the one of the large clients for Darren's group, on the title curative piece, one of the big advantages of what we do on the title side is we are a national agency. We are not a single underwriter. So how that really helps, especially on the default side, is we have multiple avenues to cure title. And I don't want to put you guys all to sleep either, but part of it means, think of it, if you're asking your dad for 20 bucks and he says no, then you can go to mom and ask for 20 bucks. And if she says no, then you go to your cousin Eddie, who's right there, and he'll always give you 20 bucks, kind of thing. And so we have the multiple solutions, and in fact, we have an example of that. One of ADR's clients was very frustrated on a pool that, from a title curative perspective, and came to us, and we were able to win him over, and now there's another pool that he's not going to anybody else on, and because we were able to get through it, and some of that stuff had been in on hold for years, but we were able to kind of find an ability to solve and cure something that had been just sitting there for a long time.
Well, thanks for that. We're coming up on 20 minutes before the hour, and I just want to make sure that we have time for questions. But Darren, is there anything else that I'm missing or not asking right now? Or
Eric, you're doing a great job as usual. No, I think we're good. I mean, I appreciate Jim and Ashley coming on and being able to walk through and be able to answer questions. And honestly, to Larry's point, I mean, that's what we're talking about. If there's ways for us to put deals together and help each other, that's fantastic. So that's, if somebody else has leads like that, that's what we're trying to do here, is really trying to lift all boats, as Ashley said. I mean, honestly, we're just trying to really help each other out. So I think it's been going great.
okay.
But we can sure to open
Um,
it up and see if there's any
Yeah,
questions
I
from
want
the
to open up.
field.
Before I do, I just want to, we still have everybody on the call. There's another REO mastermind call later today with Jeff Russell. And before I open up for questions, if Jeff just wanted to just like a 30-second pitch for that, and then if somebody can throw the link in the chat, it'd be great for you guys to be able to be on that call. I know a lot of the agents on here are on that call as well. But Jeff, you just want to talk about that, and then we'll open up for questions for Jim.
Yeah, hi everybody. Happy Thursday. Kelly will put it in the chat, but it's today at 1. Oh, hi Jim, and thank you. And Ashley, nice to meet
Good to
you.
see you, Jeff.
Too.
So Kelly will put that in there. So 1:30 p.m. today Pacific. It's an REO mastermind that we have weekly on the, what is it, the
Monthly.
second?
Monthly.
I'm sorry, monthly.
It's the third Thursday of every month, and it's not recorded. So,
Yeah, it's not recorded, so we
which
can
is
all talk
really,
freely.
so it's like free forum. So you could come and we mastermind. You're not going to be recorded and held to it, and it's just a good way for us to network as a community and really grow together.
And it's brand agnostic, so anybody and everybody that's a realtor can join us, and the more the merrier. So we get some very experienced REO peeps, like myself, 30 years in the business, and then we get some people that are brand new that want to check out REO. Which, by the way, there's going to be a changing of the changing of the swords or arms
Guards.
as we age out. A lot of us here in the REO, there's going to be some new people coming in, so we need to start training these newer, younger real estate professionals to take over this space when we're gone or when we decide to retire. So anyway, back to the mastermind. It's a great mastermind. I hope you guys all join me. I know Stephanie was there last time. Stephanie C. She had a lot to bring to the call, and a lot of commercial information I didn't know. So it's not my call. more Kellys. We just host it. It's really anybody that comes calls. Excuse me. It's a mastermind. So Eric, thanks for that time, and hope to see you all there.
Yeah. Perfect. And then, if you guys have questions, you can just open your mic and ask, or if you want to raise your hand, you can do that, or you can even throw them in the chat. But I want to, give you guys enough time. We still have 20 minutes left, but we don't have to use it all. But if you guys have any questions for Jim, this would be the best time to open up your mic and just ask away.
This is Robert. I have a question, Eric, for both Jim and Darren, and I'm sure they both can answer. This is Robert Pastium, here in Denver, Colorado. Just was reaching out in regards to more, this is a bid on homes focused question than, as we know, there's multiple REO products out there that you could manage, being Equator, like you had mentioned at the beginning. Some of these softwares have the ability for notes in a notes section, a database that can be gathered. I understand Tricon, specifically Tricon, bought Smartsheet and are now basing a lot of their, I guess you could say, almost a communication, if you will, or documentation through Smartsheet. Is there anything us as the agent network can do to make it easier on you guys for documentation and communication? Not only above and beyond doing a thorough BPO, MSR, etc., VPI reports, utilizing those. Luckily, I haven't found, at least, there's not a lot of character restrictions in some of the summary sections. So what are some of your top agents doing, or what would you guys prefer that we do that just effectively gives the asset management team and you guys effectively all the information you can have and more, but centralize it so it's not a peace and war email that the asset managers don't want to get?
I can start, Jim. I mean, one of the things that, and you might even ask our asset managers if you're working on a transaction, we have a template when it comes to communicating, especially on the valuations, that kind of outlines exactly what we're looking for. It's really concise when it comes to, what's going on in the marketplace. It's a macro to micro kind of approach. Big believers on what's going on, in the MLS, for instance. What's the absorption rate right now? Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? Where's it trending? What's your average days on market right now in the local MLS? So it goes through data points like that. These guys are data fanatics, and we can always fall back to reality, which is data. And we got a lot of data. But you have to organize it. So there's a template. Again, I don't know if you're working with Neil or whoever you're working with. I would ask and say, hey, do you guys have the template that we can maybe utilize? Because that's what we're utilizing it internally. So you guys should definitely try to look to do something the same way when it comes to communicating with us. That would streamline the whole process.
You have your asset managers, Darren, to their credit, have already provided that to me on a couple of redundant tasks, like people asking for credits, etc. So I appreciate that. That's good to know.
Yeah, and I'll add, one of the things that comes up a lot is confusion when prices jump around with no explanation. When you guys send your weeklies and your monthlies in, and the last one you sent in says the as-is value was whatever, and now the as-is value goes up. What happened? And then the as-is value, the next one goes down, and it just kind of jumps all over the place. I mean, there's got to be, an understanding of an explanation of why that's happening. And if there isn't, then there's confusion, and it just causes us a lot of problems internally. Sometimes that gets caught, but that's a nuance, right? I mean, our asset manager should catch that, and we pointed that out to them. But I'll bring it up to you guys, and when you're submitting them, if you're changing your base foundational numbers, explain why, especially if they go up, on the as-is value.
And I'm sure most people are aware of this. Most of you guys in this group are aware of this, but oftentimes the struggle on the asset management side for us in reconciling values is all of our clients get supplemental valuations, and sometimes we get to see them and we're reconciling them to other times we don't. And so we're just relying more heavily on the agent's BPO. But in any case, let's say that they're getting a supplemental BPO from a Clear Capital or whatever. A lot of times those drive-by BPOs, which is another reason why, as we build our BPO side, we want to use agents that kind of been there, done that aren't doing just a BPO factory, because a lot of those you can get, and they're just they don't tell the condition a lot of times, and and even the interior, there's not the skin in the game on those secondary valuations. And so it's up to us to kind of, we have to go through, reconcile the comps and reconcile and which one are we leading more towards. And that's where that narrative comes in, because oftentimes if there is a issue in condition or location or some other thing, it's going to be mentioned by the listing agent and not, it's going to be missed by a secondary valuation.
Sure.
Okay, thanks for that
Great.
question, Robert.
Thank you, guys.
Uh,
Appreciate it.
Is there anything else that you guys have on your minds right now you wanted to ask about? This would be a good opportunity to ask those questions that you're thinking about that you just don't know the answer to. So,
I got a
I-
question for the group real quick if someone doesn't want to go. What drives you guys crazy about asset management groups or an asset manager? Like what can we, all the feedback, and I'm not even saying like specific, but um, you know, I've been on both sides, so I have some, but it's always good to get that kind of feedback to know, what typically is driving you guys crazy on the working on the
I'll,
and you
I'll
guys
tell you.
can throw this in the chat too if you don't want to say it out loud. You just throw it in the chat and I can just
Yeah.
call them out. But
And mine's real simple. It's when they don't call you back. Like we've got, I won't mention the servicer, but we have a servicer where this one asset manager just will never call you back. I don't think he exists. I think it's just a fictitious name. Because I don't even think he emails us back, Kelly, does he? I mean, responding to us, I mean, he emails us, but he never responds. And it's just really frustrating when you're trying to be the boots on the ground and try and do everything we can to help make their lives easier and make sure that, they're getting the highest and best price for that home, and they're not communicating. So that's mine.
Yeah, I know that's something we preach too, in terms of, you get into these task-based systems and they're all contained, and sometimes some are good at capturing that narrative that we talk about, others aren't. And so, boy, it's so much can be solved by a 5-minute call versus an all-day back and forth via an email
Yeah,
or chat.
yeah.
But
And the other thing I found that works, and I put it in the chat when you were talking, Jim, about letting the asset manager or maybe even the senior know, is when I try to explain something, if I can't get them on the phone, or sometimes even if I could get them on the phone because it's much easier and faster, I just will do a Loom video or a Boomtown, and I'll share my screen and I'll just walk through what it is I'm showing them, whether it's pictures of the house or whatever it is. But that's usually a lot more comprehensive than an email, and it's easier than typing a 3-paragraph email, because I know personally as a high D, I'm not going to read the whole email, right? So just a quick, video, and that is my advice to you all when you're communicating, even with your traditional buyers and sellers.
I'll read a couple of these off. I also wanted to let everybody know, somebody had asked if we're going to be at 5-star, and American Destiny will be at 5-star. And there's a Google form that we put together for you guys to fill out to let us know, and then we'll reach out to you in July and August about setting up meetings. Jim, do you guys plan on being at 5-star this year, or?
yeah, we will be there both on the Peak Harbor side and Timeo side.
Okay, perfect. So one of the questions was, this is the frustrations for me on the agent side, the third-party BPOs that are over actual value. Like,
We
what's
Yeah,
the
talked
we
about that. We talked about that. Honestly, yeah, all of our clients, to Jim's point, they usually go out and get secondary, for values. I mean, the AVMs, all kind of different things, and they weigh on how they weight them towards the decision. I mean, we like the boots on the ground expertise of everybody on this call. That's the most professional value that you can have, is if you guys walking in and knowing the marketplace. So that to us is the most important thing. Unfortunately, that's not always the client's point of view. So,
Yeah,
and we just gotta sort of back to telling the story. I mean, you got to be able to tell the story, and sometimes it takes a month 6 weeks, whatever, before they finally realized with no offers and 5 showings, this isn't working. So maybe those guys were right and we were wrong. So
You'd be,
it take
you'd
time.
be surprised how often we have to argue with the client against the Zillow value. As if that's a, as if there's something to that, right?
Wow.
So,
Yeah, I never thought
It's in
that was a
writing.
thing.
It's on the
Well,
internet. It's legit.
It's the truth.
All right. Well, we have just a couple minutes left. So any last questions for the panel or anybody else on the call today? Or appreciate everybody coming on. This was a good attendance. And we did record the call, so it'll be in the July newsletter, which will be coming out the first week of July. Um, Probably that first week, because I know 4th of July happens to be on a Friday. I'll probably get it out the Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday that week. So you guys will have it before the 4th. But any last questions for Jim or Darren or anybody
I
else on
have
the
a
call?
question if you don't mind. You had mentioned
Babe, no,
again-
can't take a question from you. No, I'm sorry.
Jim, you'd mentioned earlier on that there was 3 asset management companies that you guys were with, and I didn't catch the third one. I caught BOH and Excelsior, but I didn't catch the third one. Could you repeat that?
yeah, actually right now, everything's on Bid on Homes or Accelerus. We do have, it's too early to announce, but we are, kind of weeks away from being on a couple of the other platforms. Of course, the main platforms being Equator, Pyramid, and ResNet, the other main ones.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Eric, this is Stephanie. Real quick, I know we were talking about asset management companies in general, but there was something mentioned in chat, like getting a listing agreement with the task due like 2 days ago, but we just got the listing agreement today. In regards to listing agreements, we take professional photos on a lot of these properties, and sometimes it's not determined if we're going to fix anything. We could be waiting for an answer. Hey, I scoped some bids. Are we going to fix it? And the answer is no. Here's your listing agreement. Well, I was holding off on getting professional photos because if I put a roof on a house or something, my pictures are no good. So I'm waiting, and then it's all of a sudden, nope, here you go, and everything's due. And to get photographers out to the house, because I actually use a photographer, I have them fly drones and do Matterports and all that. Having a little more either that time where we know, hey, we're not going to repair it, listing agreements coming soon. Okay, fine, I'll send a photographer. Just something that kind of heads up. That little bit of lag time helps a lot, because if not, we as agents are then going back and saying, you don't want them listed till we have professional photos. I need the listing agreement paused. And there's just this time that we lose. And I know time's really critical for our clients.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll jump in. I mean,
Okay.
I use the adage of you're preaching to the choir a lot. I mean,
No,
we had the same battles, Stephanie. I mean, that we're pushing to get these on the market. I mean, right now, our pre-marketing bucket, we focus all day, every day, trying to push those properties through. We're going through some growing pains with the Tricon taking over from the HPA's process. They have their own process, which right now we're working our way through. It's not streamlined and perfect by any means at this point. So we're kind of left hanging as well as you are hanging out there. We understand the dilemma and the challenges, but it is a work in progress. We're continuing to try to build the case to try to get it to a point where a lot of this stuff is going to be in real time and a lot more streamlined. So and Jim would agree with this. It's a battle that we fight day in and day out right now, because that's what we want to get these properties through that bucket, through that funnel into the listing bucket as fast as possible. And a lot of times we're not hearing what's going on with the property either. So anyway, it's just a challenge right now. But again, we're taking steps and we're having conversations about getting that fine tuned. So hopefully you'll see in the next month or so that works itself out.
Sounds awesome. Thanks.
All right, well, we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and then because I actually have a call at 1, so or 2. What time is it? This is going to be 2 o'clock. But any last questions for the group here? All right. Well, thanks for coming on today, everyone, and Jim, especially thank you to you and Ashley for being our guests. We really appreciate you spending some time with us today and helping us understand the processes better. And for sure, let's plan on meeting up at 5-Star. Anybody that's on this call, if you're going to 5-Star, fill out the Google form. If you didn't get it from the chat, it'll be in the newsletter in July as well. But any last words, Darren? Any last words, Jim or Ashley?
I was just going to say, I look forward to seeing everybody at 5-Star.
Cool.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jim, Ashley. Appreciate you guys jumping on and joining. Appreciate all you, as you know, you guys taking time away from your busy days to join us, and appreciate all you do every day to help us do what we do. So thanks to everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it.
Anytime.
So we'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys
guys.
on Jeff's call later today. See you, everybody.